What's up YouTube? This video I'm gonna be showing you how did I get 70% win rate on Kayn at like 1.2 KLP almost. And I'll be showing like mainly the early pathing, the way you want to play the team fights, the build situations and all of that. And hope that helps. Let's get into it.
We shall see.
Alright, so before we start, let's talk about the build first. So your core items are Hubris first item 90% of the time, but situationally you can like go for Yumos instead if you like have enough only for Yumos on a very good like tempo reset. But then you can go second, either like situational lethality item, like let's say you need Serpents, and then you completely ignore Hubris the rest of the game. But if you don't need a situational lethality item, you can just go for Hubris second. It's fine. It works. But ideally, you want Hubris first. The core build is Hubris, Opportunity, into Cyrildes, into lethality item, into GA. But you can delay your Cyrildes until fourth item. I'm not talking about boots. Fourth item, like full item. If they're not like building armor and you're like snowballing the map and you want to like buy like cheap item components and cheaper items to spike faster, that's okay. You can also sometimes like go last item lethality instead of like GA, but preferably want GA to be honest, because at the end of the game stage you just want your like survivability, you have enough damage. Situationally, of course, you can go Maw, but that's in against like 2 to 3 heavy AP where it's like really needed, like let's say Karthus, Zyra or whatever. And you can go with third, or sometimes you can go with fourth, you can go with last. It really depends. Everything works in like those orders. And finally for boots, I would only buy boots if they're like, let's say you're against a full AD team and you're against like assassins, you can go like Tabby after second item. Let's say you have a very good reset after second item and you can buy boots, you can go for that as well, but ideally I buy it after third item. Let's say they have a lot of CC, you can go tenacity boots as well. As for the lethality item options, like your choices, you build Edge of Night when they have like a heavy CC and no counterplay champs, like let's say the Sandra, where you just Q into her, she W's you or ults you. You can go that second, you can go that third. If they have shields, obviously you go Serpents. Right now Serpents is S tier, I'm building it most of the time second item. And that should be it for the build, to be honest. So let's start the early pathing. Alright, before I get into the pathing and all of that, I'm just going to show the ruin setup really quick for those who don't know. On the screen, I'm not going to explain much. You need to scale, like you know how Hubris scales stacking AD, you stack Dark Harvest, you clean up enemy team with W's. You need Ultimate Hunter because you can't afford Axiom because you will have lack of damage if you go that. Axiom Arc has very bad item components to build into as well, so you can't afford that, so Ultimate Hunter is the way to go. Sudden Impact and Eyeball is just for max damage. Inspiration is too good, so you go with secondary. It makes you able to have lower flash cooldown, which is very useful mid to late game when we don't buy lucidity boots as well, so we can afford not to do that because of that ruin setup. And you get free boots, and you have enough mobility with Blue Smite and your E, so that's good. And damage, scaling health, obviously that's just like standard. Alright, let's talk about early game pathing, warding, defending and like covering your camps. Usually you want to go to this bush or this bush if you're opposite side to cover until like minute 1. As for warding, right, if you're against like an invading matchup, let's say I'm against, I don't know, Graves, right? I'm scared he's gonna do one camp and then invade my bot side. I want to path to bot, right? So I'm gonna start red buff. And I'm scared of Graves, let's say, invading my bot side. You ward this bush on like the tip at like minute 110 and then you walk to your top side. That way you have max time on your vision. If he goes to invade and walks, like even if he dashes through the wall and walks here, he still shows, and you can then like act accordingly, right? You can also keep your ward if you think that they're not gonna invade, and if they're like full clear champions, like let's say Hecarim, you can just like ward their entrance, like let's say here on Raptor's entrance, just so you know. To be honest, I was scared of Jarvan to try to split map because he can do like 1 camp into invade or 3 camps into invade, so I just went for the safer option. Both works. I could have done more than one thing here, but I went for the safer one. And you never want to start small camps nowadays. I did not like start Raptors or Wolf a single game on my way to 1.2 KLP because starting buff is like 10 times faster. Ideally your full clear is like 3:13, but that's ideally. It doesn't have to necessarily work always. Here my Olaf entered a little bit. My mid laner started support item. It's a bit chaotic, but it doesn't matter. You focus on your own game. You do not like change your game plan based on your team's ints as a jungler. So the plan is full clear top to bot. You usually always want to path to bot lane almost like 95% of the time because you want to play for blue orbs. Bot lane is just insane win con most of the time, and top lane is just like the abandoned lane most of the time. So yeah. So here, after getting your full clear done, you wanna always look if you have prio. Here, I knew that I have a bit of a prio, and I went for the bot scuttle because of that. If I don't have bot prio, and like my bot lane is like chunked or like scared or pushed into, you should give the scuttle and go for the opposite one. You really don't want to give both scuttles because then you're going to be behind. And you know, there's nothing to gank bot mid, so you should insta recall after that. Double longsword. You can buy a control ward if you want to. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Really, it depends on how I feel like. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal. And you insta go to your closest camp that's going to spawn, which is obviously you do red into crowds, so we go for that. Alright, from here though, on your second camp clear, it's important to know that you have to full clear again. It's really important. Messing up your tempo by going for a bad gank. So if I overstayed after Scuttle and not recalled, I wouldn't have had item advantage to make me clear my camps really fast, and I would have wasted tempo, whereas if I recall late, and Jarvan sees me on the map like doing a bad gank, that's not gonna work, and I'm gonna be late for my second camp spawn, I can get invaded. So it's really important to not enter your tempo by doing such bad ganks, and just getting your second full clear done. And from there, objectives it's gonna be like objective timer, right? Grubs are gonna spawn at minute 6, Drake. Usually, if you can play for grubs, go for it, because it's like insane value, insane XP, it's really broken. But if you can't, like, it's okay to just trade Drake for it. But do not force Drake if you can't. If you have no bot mid prio and they're gonna deny you, you're gonna have to give grubs and do not play Drake. But here, we knew that they're on grubs, right? Since they didn't show. So I just trade for it. As you can see, he took grub, but I saw a free bot opportunity. You obviously go for that, always. Here I honestly almost entered my queue. I should have been more patient with it, but it's chill. Anyways, we still go for the Drake. You always want to like try to trade objectives. You don't want to give it for free. I might lose some camps top lane because of that, but why do I lose camps top? It's because I went for that gang. But in this case, it's not so bad because I get a kill and I get Drake, so losing like Raptors and Reds, it's not as bad. An objective camp, which is Drake, and a kill is more value than red buff and Raptors, and I can always like invade him late, right? Like later on in the game. But here, apparently he only took my red buff, so it's not even that bad. Here I'm just like cautious of him invading me. This is very important, by the way, like on like your third camp respawn. You need to respect junglers, and you need to respect that your laners can't always move for you. So you gotta always like be smart about what fights you can take and what fights you can't. Because most of the time you're weaker than them as blue Kayn early, right? With Dark Harvest setup, Kayn. So you gotta like respect. All you gotta do is like maintain CS, grab the free kills around the map until you get form, item spikes, and then you play aggressively after form, basically. It is very important to know how to walk, like to avoid vision in the mid game, like near the mid game. So as you can see, I almost never walk through Tri-Bush and this bush because it's mainly warded, and I abuse like ganking through Drake and Herald Pit or like going from around. Here I wait for them to overextend, right? I'm getting some insight. Is anyone around? Do they have vision? All of that. And we look to force here. So after like my third and fourth full clear, right, I get item advantage, like item spike. I'm actually pretty strong. I can look to force now because around like 10 minutes into the game, you're really desperate to have form. I'm not saying you int for form or like over force where it's going to end up being a bad result. But as you can see, I take my camps and I'm looking to force something, even though it's not the freest thing ever, right? Because even if I trade a 1-for-1 here, it's actually insane value and it's worth. Now, unlucky here, Aatrox comes from top lane, which is very weird. And I kind of waste my flash here to get as many orbs as I can. Honestly, it's not worth. I wouldn't recommend to do that. But yeah, that was a bit unfortunate. But I don't think going for that play was wrong necessarily. It's just that it was very odd that Aatrox came from all the way. But I mean, I guess mid lane was missing, so it could have been Smolder. I don't think that was a bad play. Mid game, around 10 to 12 to 13 minutes, whatever. You want to play to like secure your form, right? Unfortunately, I don't get it. So I just go top lane, continue my farming. I checked Scuttle. There wasn't anything, so I'm just like full clearing again. After getting my camps, see, the most important thing is to farm before going for the plays. Because if you force, unless like it's a giga free play where you know that you're gonna get something out of it and it's nearby, then you can skip the camp for it. Otherwise, if you go for a forced risky play, you might not get anything from the play, and then you are off tempo. He has tempo advantage, level advantage, gold advantage, and you might lose your camps because of you being like on the wrong place on the map. Here I'm like, I kinda could have dodged this a bit better. I'm like trying to force form. I honestly could have played way better. Anyways, I kept my ulti for his ult though. That's what matters. We get form here. We just back instantly when we see Jarvan. Janna dies. 1-for-1. This is like ideal. Trading 1-for-1s mid game is like really, really good. And now once you get form, it's a totally different story. Because the moment you get like form, you're gonna look for aggressive plays. But of course, you do not stop like farming. So here, like, while I'm farming, I'm looking on the map. I go like, oh, this guy's low. Let's look for a gank. I just E from Krugs until here. insta look for that. He dashes there for my W, but doesn't matter. As you can see, this is how you want to play the mid game. Many people ask me like, how do you play the mid game on blue kayn? You still farm, but you play 10 times more aggressively. While farming, you don't have to finish like the entire full clear. If there's anyone low, you dive them because you have a lot of damage. You have too much mobility, you go and punish that. If you have a lot of CC, let's say you have like a Malzahar, insta go mid. Let him click R and you burst. You don't like wait for anything. You play around your team CC, play around dives, you play around fighting objectives if you can and you have prior. You need to be able to evaluate that based on your team. And then you can also invade, right? But if you want to invade or if you want to like force stuff, you need to make sure you have ult though. As you can see, I always try to get them as low as I can before using my R. Here he had a small shutdown, so it's a bit worth, but honestly it's not the best thing you can ever do because I can lose camps and I can lose objectives doing that. But I would still say it's worth because he had a small shutdown, and trading 1-for-1s as an assassin is pretty good because the moment you get like your 2-item spike and a bit of hubris stacks, you kind of go out of hand. So yeah, we did lose Herald for this one though, and I'm trying to farm up a bit. They're forcing top lane, which is fine. You can also always play side for like tier 2s, hovering side laners on blue kayn mid game. That's what you want to look for as well. But here I'm just making sure I don't lose any of my camps. We're looking for something mid because they're trying to force, but we don't want to force anything too crazy. So you always keep your Q to dodge stuff like these, by the way, like CC and whatever. In team fights, as you can see, I'm playing slow, right? Like, I had flash. Like, you need to notice something. This is very important about team fighting. I had flash this entire time, by the way. Look at me. I'm not walking with my team. As blue kayn, you need to understand. You engage with your E. You go from the sides, from the jungle. You look for angles to flank. You do not, like, walk like with Janna right here. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I have flash. I could have simply walked in the middle and, like, keep walking and insta-flash on Aatrox here. But what did I wait for? I wait to flash when they get as low as possible because I have Dark Harvest and I want to clean up. And what I look for is like most AoE, so I try to hit more than one target with my combo, and to always ult someone, kill them and get out. Which is what I did here. Killed that guy, ulted Ziggs, finished him off. I pretended I'm gonna walk towards the wall, so he EQs. I Q away. Always you want to dodge with your Q. And I kept my E to go through, well, his ulti and the wall. And now, after you get a kill, you punish. Obviously, mid-game, I left my smite here because I want to go for red buff. Obviously, mid-game, after you get kills, you go for turrets, his camps, and objectives, naturally. So yeah. Now, as you can see, mid-game, like this game, I didn't go Cerilda's third because they're not building a single bit of armor, and I was kind of snowballing. So I went for like the Dirk reset because I didn't have enough for Last Whisper because I was playing like strongest tempo spikes, you know? Now that it's mid-game, right, there are no objectives up, only Baron. Guy's overextended. I can hover him and dive Aatrox, or like if they look for a play on him, I can go for that. But usually, like, unless there's objectives, you're just like farming. Like, you kill the camps, you look for plays. So even late game, you still want to maintain your farm. Here I went for my third item spike before forcing anything. I went to Yomos because I don't need serpents. I got a good WQ on both. I have my ultimate, but I refuse. No need to like waste it when you can like continue autoing and wait for your cooldowns to kill. Do not like use your ulti lightly. That's very important to do. Here we were trying to force Baron, but not because we want to finish it. We want to like beta fight. Yeah, I cleaned up the Ziggs. We just killed them all. I wait for his EQ so I can use my R so I can secure the kill. And we go Baron. I really don't know why my team didn't finish it here, but I had to die for it. I think I don't know. I didn't want to lose Baron, so I Q'd into it. I should have kept my Q so I don't give the shutdown, right? The Q away. I think using my E here was a mistake. I entered here. I shouldn't have used my E. I should have Q'd into it and then used my E out. I actually gave a huge shutdown to Aatrox here, which could have lost the game. Most of the time, you lose games by giving your shutdown, by the way. Especially to the wrong person, so that was definitely a mistake I shouldn't have done. I thought my team will burst it earlier, so I thought it was okay to use my E. But you need to always keep your E and Q in such situations so you can like escape. Pretty sad. We still got the Baron, but we gave a shutdown, which is pretty bad though. Now we're getting ready for third Drake. I bought penetration here, obviously. I need it at this point. As you can see, I'm never front to back. So here I just completely ignore Jarvan even though he was next to me. I'm going for the squishies in the back line. As you can see, I didn't use ulti on Nami. W auto Q. I know that kills. At Smite R the Smolder here. Unlucky, I can't kill him. To be fair, he has a lot of damage and I just get bursted. We lose the Drake here, but it doesn't matter, it's fine. happens. It's not the biggest deal to lose Drakes when it's like not sold, you know? It's like you're just playing 1 or 2 Drakes, it's fine. You care more about your own like lead and gold and outcome of the fight for you as an assassin more than like playing the objective, to be honest, most of the time. You play like selfish gameplay. Alright, so I don't want to make this video too long for you guys. I'll explain how you play the very late game. As you can see here, we're trying to like play for the inhib. I'm like trying to take an angle, but like I have flash here, right? I can like one-shot Nami, for example, but they have double Zhonya's and these guys have tanky items, so I can't like go in. If I flash in, my team can't follow up and I cannot kill anything. There's no way. So I'm like playing it very slow and I'm waiting my E again, right? But here my Vladimir does a play. Okay, now I kind of have to force something, right? So I pretend that I'm going away and then I flash WQ. He insta Zhonya's, which is fine because I make sure that I hit Nami as well so I can ult something and kill something at the same time. I tried to go for the auto, but unlucky. I was very far, so I only got the animation. The auto didn't go through. I get out, W, go back out, because survivability matters, and you want to like always know how to disengage and re-engage on blue kayn. I go back in. I'm playing slow, right? I don't want to like WQ in, because then I die. If Jarvan knocks me up or they burst me, I die. I'm like playing it very slow around the wall. When he's low enough, I W to kill him. Here, slow again. I Q, he flashes, and that way we won that fight. Unfortunately, we couldn't end here though. Here, my Janna got caught, right? And it's very late into the game, but see how we won this game though. My Janna got caught, so we had to give mid tier 2, had to give inhib tower as well. Actually no, we killed the wave, so we didn't have to give that. Here, Janna still has 30 seconds. I'm trying to like pressure them because their base is getting pressured by minions, right? And they're looking to recall, they want to chill a bit, they don't want to risk the game. And so I see Smolder TPing years, I smite R. You want to always, when the team overextends and they have to reset, you want to always look to slow punish, like slow chase to look if you can punish. And that's what happened. He had Aatrox TPs as well, Olaf walks, but Smolder was their main carry, right? So the moment he died, it's just over. So yeah, I mean, and that's just like mainly how you want to play the champion throughout the different stages of the game, right? There's obviously like so many more details, but I kind of like wanted to go over the main ones. So yeah, that's about it. Hope that was helpful, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Shadows touch all.